Welcome to The Reason We Learn and this quick clip from my recent interview with Dr. Stephen Hicks, professor of philosophy at Rockford University in Illinois. We sat down to discuss the current crisis in American education, CRT, and a variety of other topics related to whether or not your children are getting the education they deserve and you want them to have. Catch the entire episode on my YouTube channel, or better yet, join my locals community at thereasonwelearn.locals.com. To parents who might be watching this, thinking about what they thought or hoped their child's education would be and what it's sounding like it is, or more like, regardless of why, whether it was intentional or bureaucratic, going with the flow. What can you tell them about let's say they would like to preserve the American creed and they want their kids to have a more enlightenment-based education?
Yes.
What should they be thinking about looking for in terms of without giving necessarily specifics, although you probably could. How should they be thinking about this? Because as I said, I see people going into school board meetings and sort of nipping at their heels about this specific lesson plan or curriculum, when in fact the whole message of the school seems to be, no matter what lesson I'm using, it's coming down to your child as one piece in a group pie.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that it's a fixed pie. And so it's power struggles and these kinds of things. That's why I say, I'm up here with it. What should parents be looking for and doing as far as education for their children? If they want their children to be more like the old kind of American Enlightenment value person in the end.
Yeah. I don't think there are any shortcuts here. We already know the cliches. Parenting is a huge all-in project. And so dealing with formal education, if you have chosen to send your kids to school, you do need to be all in on that. And just as parents of newborns will typically self-educate intensively, the same thing has to happen when you send your kids to a school, and you've got to stay in the game for as long as your kids are in school. So I would say, yes, self-educate, read, think about it, listen to podcasts by reasonable people. And then parents who are taking the next step, the activist step, which I think is great, going to the school board. Maybe don't speak the first couple of times. Listen, get educated. But then, ask questions, connect with other parents. There's always a strength in numbers, and become aware. To the extent that you have something decent to say, a question to ask those questions. Another cliche that's absolutely true is the sunlight is the best disinfectant. So in many cases, pathological and dysfunctional and destructive movements, they make progress to the extent that they are operating in a vacuum or in the dark, and people are just not paying attention to it. So put them on notice that you are paying attention. If you are yourself a decent, well-meaning, educated person, and nobody expects anybody to be multiple PhDs and so forth, then that will come across, and they will take you seriously. So I would say also consider seriously all of the other alternatives that are out there. Formal institutional public schooling is just one model. It's relatively a new kid on the block in historical time. It's I think hugely dysfunctional in many ways. But we are an entrepreneurial culture, and we are an educated culture, and we are a rich culture. So we have the resources to start doing other kinds of experiments. And there are lots of experiments going on there, Brad. And again, figure out what they are, and you'll find out that by talking to other parents and getting little education and so on. And then to the extent also that you have some interest, start your own blog, start your own podcast, do your things on social media and so on.
Yeah.
And that's how it happens. So it has to be grassroots.